Good morning to everyone at today's public hearing of the Vetting Commission, established under Law 26 for the year 2022, on measures related to the selection of candidates for the position of member in the self-administration bodies of judges and prosecutors. I'm Scott Bales, the chair of the commission, and I declare this session open. The hearing is being conducted under the Commission's rules of organization and functioning as part of the evaluation process. The subject of today's hearing is Eugeniu Beșelea, a candidate for the position of member of the Evaluation and Selection Board of Judges. Judge Beșelea is a judge at the Court of First Instance in Chișinău. Judge Beșelea, welcome. And I apologize if I struggle with the pronunciation of your name. I'm joined by 5 other commission members. To my left are Vice Chair Andrei Bevel and commission members Lavle Perling and Yuri Gatskin. To my right are commission members Lillian Ansu and Willem Brouwer. The commission is also assisted by members of its secretariat. Behind you are some representatives, possibly of the media and the public, and as you may note, there's a photographer who will take pictures briefly just at the start of the hearing. The hearing will be conducted with interpretation between Romanian and English. To allow for accurate interpretation, I ask everyone to speak clearly and slowly. Only one person should speak at a time. The proceedings are being recorded. The recordings of the Commission's public hearings generally will be available online at the Commission's website, www.vettingmd.eu, within 3 days after the hearing. During the hearing, one or more members of the Commission may put questions to you, and I would ask you to answer them truthfully and completely. Your explanations are important to the Commission in verifying your financial and ethical integrity. At the end of the hearing, you will be given an opportunity to make a brief closing statement. In posing questions, we will consider your privacy and, where appropriate, the privacy of your family members and close persons. So we will omit unnecessary details on such things as ID numbers, specific real estate addresses, bank account numbers, and so forth. For the protection of privacy, we ask you to do the same. I will start by briefly reviewing the evaluation process for Judge Beșelea. The Commission initiated its evaluation on February 15th, 2024 by notifying the judge by email and asking him to complete and return an ethics questionnaire and the financial declarations required under Law Number 26. Judge Beșelea returned the completed declarations and questionnaire on the 20th of February of this year. As part of evaluating a subject's ethical and financial integrity, the Commission also obtains information from many other sources, such as the National Integrity Authority, the State Fiscal Service, the General Inspectorate of the Border Police, financial institutions, and open sources. The Commission assesses the information it obtains for its relevance and reliability. On the 15th of May, 2024, the Commission asked Judge Beșelea to provide additional information by May 22nd to clarify certain matters. He provided answers and documents by the 21st of May. On the 4th of July, 2024, the Commission asked Judge Beșelea to provide additional information by July 11th to clarify certain matters. He responded by that deadline, indeed providing information on July 9th of 2024. On September 6th, 2024, we notified Judge Beșelea that the Commission, in its investigation, had identified some areas of doubt about his compliance with the ethical and financial criteria and invited him to attend today's hearing. Judge Beșelea, first, do you wish to make any corrections or additions to the answers you've provided to the Commission previously?
No, I have nothing to add, any information, because the ones that they provided are comprehensive, in my opinion.
And are the answers to the ethics questionnaire that you sent back on the 20th of February 2024, are they still accurate as of today?
All my answers are valid as of today.
Okay. Some commission members will now ask you additional questions. We will try to keep our questions short and to the point. We ask that your answers be short and to the point as well. Commission member Andrei Bevel will begin the questions.
Bună ziua, domnule judecător.
Good morning, Judge. The Commission has pointed out one single issue or question
putea ridica
a
niște
situation that might raise some doubts related to your
Aceasta vizează
integrity.
participarea
This
dumneavoastră
relates to your
și în
participation
soției dumneavoastră
and, as we
în
understand,
program
your wife's
de
participation in a
oferire a
program focused
spațiilor
on
locative la preț preferențial
providing
pentru
living spaces
angajații din
as the
sistemul
preferential
justiției.
price for the
Situația,
employers in
dacă ar
the
fi să
judicial sector.
să o simplificăm,
Wait,
arată
to
cam
make
în
it
felul
simple,
următor.
it
În
looks like this.
2017,
In
dumneavoastră aplicați la acest
2017,
program,
you've applied for this program,
care ulterior
which later on,
comisia respectivă a
or
modificat,
that commission
a aprobat niște criterii.
has changed or approved some criteria, and one of the criteria was the lack of a living space in Chișinău municipality, to have it as an owner or other situation. When you've applied for the program, you presented relevant information proving the lack of such a living space. Your application was registered and was accepted.
În 2019,
In 2019, you still have decided to buy an apartment
la preț de piață,
at the market price,
să zicem așa, direct din piață.
let's say directly from the market. You did not wait for the end of the project, but you've decided to buy the apartment.
Din informațiile pe care
From the information that the Commission has managed to collect, you failed to inform the working group about the purchase of this flat in 2019.
în 2022
In 2022, you get in your ownership
din programul respectiv.
the apartment from that program.
Da.
Sorry, we cannot hear the...
Depinde ce
Kind of-
considerați
Da,
chinuirea
bine.
proprietară.
It depends on what we are looking at by saying property or ownership. So we understand that you've signed us handover document in 2023 for the apartment on Mircea cel Bătrân Street, which was larger than the flat you purchased from the market.
Și în pofida acestui fapt,
And despite this fact, you've decided to sell it. So you've sold the apartment
care l-ați obținut la preț
that
preferențial,
you
l-ați vândut la un
bought
preț de
the
piață.
preferential price. You sold it for the market price, and you had a profit from this
Și
difference.
în continuare noi avem câteva întrebări.
Later on, we have some questions in relation to this fact. First of all, we want you to confirm
Constatarea
that
comisiei că nu
this
ați
finding
informat
of the
grupul de
Commission
lucru
about
despre
you
faptul
failing
că
to
ați
inform the
achiziționat
working
acel
group
apartament
about the
în
purchase of that
2019
flat in 2019 is correct.
Da, această constatare
Yes,
este
this finding is the correct one.
Așa. Și a doua întrebare este,
And second
aveați
question
obligații de a
was,
prezenta,
Were
nu știu,
you
dacă de a
obliged
informa grupul de
to
lucru despre
inform
schimbarea situației dumneavoastră?
the working group about the change in your situation?
obligații despre care aș fi știut.
An obligation that I would have known about, no, or better to say, I didn't know I would have such an obligation.
În contextul deciziei mele am să vă explic.
But I'll explain you later on about my decision.
În viziunea dumneavoastră, în momentul
In
în care
your
ați
opinion,
achiziționat
When
acel
you
apartament în
have
2019,
purchased that
mai erați
apartment in
eligibil
2019,
pentru
were you
programul
still
de
eligible for
alocare
that
a
program
la preț
for the
preferențial?
on the residential places for a preferential price?
Nu mai eram eligibil.
Formally,
dar
I
în
was not
contextul
anymore
situației
eligible,
consider
but
că am
in the
păstrat
context of the
eligibilitatea.
situation,
Am să
I
explic de ce.
consider I've kept my eligibility. I'll tell you why. Could you tell us about the context of that situation in 2019? What do you mean by that?
Da, deci pentru a înțelege pe deplin această
So, in order to
întrebare,
fully
trebuie să facem
understand
o
this
mică
question, we
retrospectivă
should
pe
look a
lângă
little bit
informațiile
back in
pe care le-ați,
time. According,
furnizat.
besides the information you collected, it is one
Deci
more
acest
relevant
program
aspect we
a
should
demarat în
mention.
2017
The program started in 2017
indicația și promisiunea că
with
se va
the
realiza în anul
indication and the
2018.
promise it will be completed in
La
2018.
acest program am participat împreună cu soția.
I participated in this program with my wife, who is also a member or is working in the judiciary system. And actually, by an application, we've solved the situation of two judiciary workers. At that stage, in 2015, since we've created our family together with my wife, we had a child. And since 2015, we were living together with our in-laws, with the parents of my wife, without having a separate living space for our family. In 2017, when we applied for
am
the
avut
program,
nevoie să
we
clarificăm
had the
anumite
need
circunstanțe
to
particulare
clarify
ale
some
situației
specific
familiei noastre,
circumstances
despre care
of
v-am relatat
our
pe larg
family that I've
în
told you
răspunsurile
about
la
in
întrebări.
detail in their answers to the questions.
Însă după aceea nu am mai
But
primit un răspuns
afterwards,
clar care
I did
este
not
soarta
get a clear response
cererii noastre,
about
în
the
primul
situation, the
și în
status of
general
our
a
application generally and the program
În 2018,
broadly.
în
In
2019,
2018,
nu se mai vorbea
2019,
nimic la nivel oficial
nobody was
despre
talking
realizarea acestui
officially
program.
about the achievement, the finalizing of this
În
program.
al
This
doilea
is
rând,
first thing.
se vorbea doar neoficial
Second,
despre faptul că
informally or
realizarea acestui
unofficially, it
program
was
este
being
sub
said that
un
the
mare semn de întrebare.
finalizing of this
Din
program
motiv
was
că
under
există
a big
careva
question mark.
litigii între primărie și Consiliul
Given
Superior
that there
al
were
Magistraturii,
some litigations or conflicts
care
between
era
the
parte
City
la
Hall
acest
and the
parteneriat public-privat,
prosecutors, Superior
astfel nu mai
Prosecutor's Office,
exista o claritate, ne mai
So,
vorbim de certitudine,
there was
despre
not
cum
a
se va realiza
clarity or
acest program
certainty
și dacă
about
se
the
va realiza în
end of the
general.
program or whether the program was
Nici
to be
elementar
implemented
nu
till the
cunoșteam
end.
exact locul unde
I
urmează să
did
fie
not know
construit
even the
acest
place
bloc
where
locativ sau
this
acest
living
complex locativ.
complex or
Nimeni nu ne
space
furniza
residential
aceste
place
informații.
complex was to be built. Nobody was providing
Anume
us
aceasta a stat
this
la
information.
baza deciziei noastre în anul
So
2019
this was
de a nu mai aștepta
our base or our reason to decide in 2019
referitor
to
la
not
realizarea
wait
programului
for
în cauză
an answer
și a
from
ne
this program
alege
and
un spațiu
to
locativ
choose a
conform
residential
condițiilor de
space
piață care
according
erau
to
la
the
acel moment.
market
Deci, în
conditions in that
2019,
year.
nici nu ne-a dat
In
nici nu ne-am
2019,
gândit măcar să mai
we
informăm
didn't
pe cineva
even
despre
think
faptul
about
că deja
informing
ne-am
someone
procurat un
else.
imobil, atât timp cât nici
We
nu mai
had
credeam că acest
purchased an
proiect
apartment because
este în
we
viață.
believed this program was not alive anymore.
Întrebările tuturor membrilor pe care eu personal îi
The
cunoșteam în
questions
grupul
of
de lucru
all
despre
the members
acest
of the
proiect,
working group that
sau
I
la întrebările
knew
mele
at
despre
that
soarta acestui proiect,
time
nimeni
or
din
my
membrii
questions
grupului de lucru
about the fate of
propriu-zis
this
nu
program,
știau
nobody
un
could
răspuns,
answer
fiindcă
to
îmi spuneau, noi nu știm ce va
because
fi.
they used to tell
Urmează
us
să fie
we don't know what will
soluționat acel
happen.
litigiu, care
The
nici nu știu
litigation
când a
was
fost
to be
inițiat.
solved, but we didn't know actually when it started.
Deci în 2019 noi și-am uitat deja
So in
despre
2019, we
proiectul
already
de îmbunătățire a
had
condițiilor
forgotten
de trai și
about
ne-am
the
căutat
project
de treaba
for the improvement
noastră,
of the
procurându-ne
living
un apartament, am
conditions.
așteptat
So
un an
we
de
just
zile până s-a
procured an
construit
apartment
blocul,
with
am
our
făcut
own forces.
reparația
We
și
waited
ne-am mutat să trăim în Plovdiv.
for it to be built. We
În
made some repair works
2021,
and we
când am
moved there.
fost informați
In
că acest
2021,
proiect
when
nu
we
doar a
were
continuat,
informed
dar
about
și
the fact
am
that this
fost,
project not only continued,
acceptați,
but
sau
we
cererea
were
noastră
also
a fost
accepted,
acceptată.
or our application was accepted.
Ne-am pus pe gânduri cu soția ce să facem,
We
fiindcă,
started to
evident,
think with
mijloace
my
financiare de a
wife
procura acel
about what to
apartament nu
do
mai aveam la
because
acea
we
etapă.
did not have means at
Eram
that
deja
moment to
îndatorați
buy
pentru
that
cheltuielile
flat.
care le-am
We
făcut
were already
pentru
in
reparația
debt
în apartamentul
for
în care
the
locuiam,
expenses
cel
for the
procurat în
repair
nou.
works in the new apartment procured and
Însă
purchased in
când am văzut că ni s-a
2019.
acceptat cererea anume de a
But when
fi repartizat
we understood
apartament cu
that
3 odăi,
our application was accepted for
în
an
proiectul anterior care
allocation of
exista
three
de acest fel în
rooms
2013,
apartment.
atunci
In
când
that
cineva cerea
project,
un apartament cu anumit număr de
So
odăi,
when
nu
somebody,
era
because
nicio
when
garanție
somebody
că anume
required a
această cerere
specific
va fi
flat with a specific
acceptată
number of
și deseori
flats,
se întâmpla
nobody
că
knew
cei
if
ce
this was
solicitau
to be
apartament cu
accepted.
3 odăi primeau cu 2 sau cu 1.
So usually those who requested a 3 rooms apartment would receive 2 rooms
Deci
apartment or something else. So we did not have a certainty about this. So when we understood that we had this 3 rooms apartment and we had at that moment a 2 rooms apartment with two children,
mai oportun pentru
we
noi, având în vedere
decided
că îl obținem apartamentul la un preț redus,
the
preferențial.
flat was to be acquired at a preferential price, so we decided to move forward under the project.
Și decizia era în felul următor. Atunci când
And
obținem
the
actul
decision
de
was that when we get the
apartamentul
documents
de la Bulevardul Mircea
for
cel
the
Bătrân,
apartment
îl vindem cel
at
ce îl
Mircea cel
deține
Bătrân
și ne
Boulevard,
mutăm
we
acolo.
would
În
sell
contul
the
vânzării
one that we had from
apartamentului
2019,
deținut în 2019,
and
ne
from the sale
închidem
of
toate
that
datoriile și
flat we
obținem
would
posibilitatea
cover
să ne
all the
mutăm
debts
în
and
casă
we
nouă,
would get the
cu
possibility
spațiu
to
mai
move to
mare.
the new residential space that
Deci
had
dacă
bigger space.
asta era
Basically,
motivul
this
pentru care
was
noi am
the
continuat cu
reason
proiectul
that
respectiv.
determined us to continue
În 2021,
within
atunci
that
când am
project.
decis
In
să
2021,
continuăm
when we
participarea noastră la
decided
acest
to
proiect,
participate, to keep participating in that
iarăși
project.
nu ne-am gândit să
Again,
informăm grupul
we
de
did
lucru
not
despre
think
faptul că
about
deținem
informing
un
the working group.
apartament deja
We
din
already had an
2019,
apartment from
iarăși din
2019,
același raționament.
again
Că
for the
ideea
same
principală
reason, because the
că
main
obținem
idea
casa,
was
apartamentul
to get
de
that
la Mircea
flat
cel Bătrân, îl vindem
at
pe cel
Mircea
ce
cel
îl deține
Băstrân
și din
Street.
contul lui
We
ne
sell
mutăm.
the one
Alte
that we
posibilități
owned and
financiare
cover
de a
the
realiza
debts.
participarea noastră la acest program până
Other
la sfârșit,
ways
nu am.
to be part of the program till the end, we did not have.
Asta e în linii generale despre
This is
ce ne
generally
determinat
about
pe noi
our
nici să nu
reason
comunicăm
not to
despre, în
inform
2019 v-am spus, ideea
the working
principală
group.
era că nici
So
nu
in
am
2019, this was
crezut
our
că
main
trebuie
idea.
cuiva
We
să
didn't
comunicăm,
even
fiindcă
believe
nici
that
nu
we
mai
had
credeam
to
că acest
communicate to
proiect
someone else because
este în
we
derulare.
were not sure
Un
about
aspect
the
foarte
continuation of
important
the project.
despre omisiunea noastră
An
în
important
2019 de a
aspect
comunica
about
ceva
our failure to
grupului de lucru,
communicate
pe lângă
some
ceea ce
information to
v-am
the
spus,
working group, alongside
este
with
și
the
faptul
aforementioned
că deja era
things,
arhicunoscut
is that it was
situația cu
already well known the
relațiile
situation
informale
about
între
the
sistemul
informal
judecătoresc
relations
și
between the
autoritățile
judiciary
publice
and the
locale din
local
Chișinău,
public authorities from
având
Chișinău.
în vedere cazul care s-a
I
întâmplat în
mean,
2011 cu alegerile
related to the case that
primarului
happened in
general.
2018 with the
Deci,
elections of the
pe culoare,
mayor,
între noi,
general mayor.
neoficial, se discuta că
On the
nu
corridors, we
avem
used to
noi șanse
discuss
ca sistem
that we
judecătoresc
as
să
a
obținem o
judiciary
decizie
had no
favorabilă
chances
de
to
la
get a
Consiliul
favorable
Municipal Chișinău,
decision from
să ne
Chișinău Municipal
confirme
Council
sau ceea
that
ce
would
solicita de fapt prin alt
confirm
litigiu era întrebarea de drepturile
our
asupra terenului pe
acceptance,
care
because
acest
there was
proiect
question about the rights
imobiliar urma să fie
of
construit.
ownership on the land that this residential complex was to be built.
Să discutăm despre
Okay.
următorul pas.
Let's discuss next about the further step. We understood why you decided to continue in the program, but still tell us why the plan that you designed in 2021 was not implemented in 2023 when you
Deci, după
became the
câte am
owner.
menționat și anterior
So, as I
răspunsurile
told
din
you
prima rundă de
in
întrebări,
the first
situația
round of
era-
questions,
sau circumstanțele
the
situației s-au schimbat
circumstances
esențial,
have
având în vedere că
changed
și o perioadă
essentially
mare
because
relativ de timp s-a scurs de la demararea sau
a
de
lot
la
of time
debutul
has
proiectului.
passed
până la
since
sfârșitul
the
său.
beginning of the project till
Deci,
the
v-am
end of
spus, în
the project.
2017 ni se
So we
promite că
told
în
you that in
2018
2017
se
we were
construiește
promised that
casa
in 2018
și obținem
our house or
apartament.
residential
Deci
place
nu
was
se
to be
realiza.
built and we would
Au
get the
trecut
flat.
2017,
And this
18,
did not
19,
happen.
abia în 21
And
suntem
only in
informați că proiectul
2021 we
continuă.
were informed about the continuation of the
În
project.
21 era vara.
In
Când am fost
2021,
informați
it
despre
was
repartizarea
during the
apartamentului,
summer we were
ni s-a
informed
impus
about the
condiția.
distribution of
În
the
primul rând, s-a
apartment,
mărit un
and the
pic
condition was the
inițial
following:
care
a little
fost,
bit the price was increased
promis în 2017
compared to the price promised in
de la
2017
360
from
euro per metru pătrat la
360
420
euro per
euro
square
per
meter
metru pătrat.
to
O altă condiție care
420
ni s-a impus
euro per
atunci, în
square meter.
2021,
And
era
another
să achităm
condition was to
inițial
pay initially
70% din valoarea
70% from
apartamentului
the price for the apartment.
și promițându-ni se că
And we
până
were
la sfârșitul
promised
anului
that
21
till
sau
the
cel
end of
târziu în primul
2021, or at least in the
trimestru
first
al
quarter
anului
of
2022, casa va
2022,
fi finisată și dată în
the
exploatare.
house, the building was to be finished and
Analizând posibilitățile,
ready for occupation.
circumstanțele, am decis să mergem înainte.
Analyzing the circumstances, we
contractat
decided
un
to
credit
move
suplimentar,
forward.
am
We
achitat
took
și
an
de
additional
70%,
loan. We paid the 70%,
Însă am fost,
but
până la urmă,
in the end,
dacă vorbim foarte diplomat,
if being
mințiți.
diplomatic, we were
Fiindcă
lied about it.
În anul
About the
21
process,
nici
because
n-am avut
in
posibilitatea să
2021 we
încheiem un
didn't even
contract
have the
așa
possibility
cum
to
privesc
sign a
condițiile legii,
contract as it is
fiindcă
stipulated
nu
by the
aveam,
law,
numere cadastrale la
because the cadastral
apartamentele din acel
numbers
bloc.
for the apartment
A
in
fost
that block
nevoit
were
să încheiem
not
un anticontract, a cărui
drafted. We had
valabilitate
to
juridică
sign another contract,
era
which
discutabilă.
is legal
Totuși am mers la
validity
acest
was
risc.
under a question mark.
Contract în regulă, sub aspectul condițiilor
If to
legale,
talk
obținem
about
abia în martie
an
22.
appropriate contract,
Deci
we
acel
got this appropriate
termen
contract
limită
only in
care urma
2022,
să
in
fie
March.
prevăzut
So
pentru
the
construcția
deadlines
blocului.
for the
Însă
construction
noi la acel
of
termen
the
abia obținem un contract.
block were at that
Ok,
time,
în
but
condițiile
we
legii.
only at that time
Atunci,
got
în
the
martie
contract
22,
according to the law.
iarăși
So in March
se îndepărtează
2022,
termenele, ne promit că
the
în septembrie
deadlines were
2022
delayed. We were
obținem
promised that in 2022
casa.
we will still get the
ceea ce
house,
iarăși nu s-a realizat.
which again was
Deci,
not
în
the case.
continuare, suntem puși în situația de a aștepta,
So we were in the situation
Suntem,
to wait, basically.
așa zis, hrăniți cu
We were, let's say, fed with
promisiuni,
promises. Thank you.
Și așteptăm
And we
nu știu
were
când și nu știu ce.
waiting
Deci,
for,
ca
we
să
didn't know what
înțelegeți,
time and
jurista
what
acestei
to
întreprinderi
happen.
nu mai,
The lawyer from that
de mult nu
company
mai răspundea la apelurile
was not
telefonice,
answering to our
fiindcă,
calls
evident,
anymore
în mod,
for a long time
în
already.
mod firesc, având în vedere că
Because
eu acesta aparținând l-am procurat din surse
naturally, given
împrumutate, parțial de la
I
bancă,
bought
parțial de
that
la
I
rude,
bought this flat from
rudelor
borrowings
le-am promis
from
că
my
în an întorc datoriile,
relatives. I
ceea ce
promised the
s-a realizat.
relatives I would give them back the
La
money
bancă
in 1 year
plăteam
period,
mai
which
mult
did not
decât
happen,
mi-am
and
planificat să
the
achit. Evident că îi sunam foarte des pe
interest
cei
rate
de
at
la
bank was
întreprindere
higher than I
care urma să
expected,
construiască,
so
și nu obțineam deja de la ei nicio reacție.
no reaction,
Și
and
așa
no
s-a
reaction was
adurat
from
până
the
în
building
august
company. This
2023.
situation last
Între timp, în
till August
cariera mea
2023.
personală, profesională, s-au întâmplat
In
multe
time,
schimbări.
in my
Și anume, în
professional
anul
career
2000,
happened a
în
lot of
luna
things,
martie
a lot of
2022,
changes.
mi-au
In March
expirat
2022, my
de
powers or
judecător,
my mandate
denumit
as a
inițial
judge
pe un termen de
expired
5 ani,
because I was appointed for a
și urma
5-year
să aștept un
term.
răspuns de la
So I had
președintele
to
țării,
wait for
dacă
a
mă
response
dacă îmi
from the
confirmă
president of the
încheierile
country
de judecător
if
până la atingerea plafonului de vârstă.
he or she would
Aceasta
confirm
tot nu s-a
my
întâmplat foarte
mandate.
rapid. În martie mi-au expirat
my new
puternicile
mandate.
și tot
In
în
March,
noiembrie
my
22
powers
am
were
primit un
off,
refuz
and
de la
only in
președintele țării
2023
de a
I
fi
requested
confirmat până la plafonul de vârstă
a
în funcție de
denial
judecător.
from the president
În mod
to
firesc,
continue
această
my activity
situație
as a
mi-a
judge.
provocat,
Therefore,
niște incertitudini majore a
this
situației
had led to
financiare
some
a
financial
familiei mele.
uncertainties in my family
În
situation.
mod evident, era o situație în
Obviously,
care nu știam care vor
there
fi
was a
posibilitățile
situation when
familiei
I
noastre din
didn't
punct de
know
vedere
what
financiar,
the
în
financial
primul rând,
possibilities
realizării
for my
creditului pe care
family
le aveam.
would we have
Și
to cover
cum
the
urmează
debt,
să ne
first of all, the
discutăm în
loans,
cazul în care-
and how we were to cope with the
În cazul în
situation
care funcția mea,
if
în cazul în care nu voi fi reconfirmat în
I
funcția
was
de
now to
judecător.
be reconfirmed as a judge
Toate
again.
aceste circumstanțe luate
All
împreună,
the circumstances all together,
deci nu mai vorbim și despre
Not to
faptul
speak about the fact
evenimentelor care
also,
s-au petrecut în februarie
all the
22,
events that happened in
și
February
războiul din
2022,
Ucraina,
the war that started in
războiul
Ukraine,
Rusiei împotriva Ucrainei,
Russia
ceea ce a
against
generat
Ukraine,
incertitudini
which
majore
has led
atât
to
la noi în
major
țară,
uncertainties
cât și în
both
toată
in our
zona.
country and also across all the region.
Ulterior au crescut prețurile la tot.
Later
după
on,
câte
we had
singuri
increased
aveți
prices
posibilitatea să vă
for
convingeți.
all kind of products,
Deci
as you
circumstanțele s-au
could
schimbat
witness.
esențial. Nu știam
Basically,
dacă
there was
vor mai continua să am un
significant
salariu stabil,
changes in the situation. I did not know if I was to
salariul
have a stable
care era
salary
baza
anymore.
calculelor noastre atunci
The
când
salary
am
that was at the
socotit,
core of our
cât ne
calculations when
permitem,
we
ca să deservim
measured
creditele
how
pe
much we
care
would
le
need to
luați.
cover the loans we took in advance before that time.
Deci toate aceste circumstanțe împreună,
All the
atunci când am izbutit
circumstances
să
all together,
obținem
when we
actele
finally
pe
managed to
apartament
get
în
the
august
documents for the
23,
apartment in
ne-au
August
făcut pe noi
2023,
să mergem pe
made
calea rezistenței
us
cele mai mici și anume
follow the
să scăpăm de datorii
least
în primul
resistance
rând
path. So first of all, to get rid of all
și
the debts,
ulterior să ne gândim
and
la
later
careva
on to
îmbunătățirea
think
condițiilor
about
de trai.
improving
Adică
somehow the
prioritățile
living
s-au schimbat
conditions.
esențial în
Basically,
această perioadă.
priorities have changed in this
Dacă aș
period.
fi să analizez acțiunile noastre
If
prin sala
I
mele
would
personale,
analyze
prin prisma
our
eticii profesionale,
priorities or conditions through my
eu aș
professional
vrea să vă informez
ethics
despre tot câteva
perspective,
momente
I would like to
cheie.
inform you about
Primul din
some
ele
other
este următorul.
important elements.
Despre
First of
acest
all,
proiect imobiliar am
About
aflat
this real
prima
estate
dată
project, we
o
found
întâlnire
out first of all in
a colegilor, nu țin
meeting
minte
with
în ce format,
our
fie era
colleagues. I don't
adunarea
know
generală a
whether this was
judecătorilor,
the
fie
General
era
Assembly of
adunarea
Judges,
generală a
whether
membrilor
or the
Asociației
General
Judecătorilor.
Assembly of the members
În
of
orice caz,
Judges
la
Association.
una din astfel de
but
întruniri,
Basically, in one of
nu
these
țin minte cine
meetings,
din liderii sistemului de justiție
some of
atunci
the
ne-a
leaders
informat
of the
despre
judiciary
faptul
system
că
at that
urmează să
moment
demareze
informed
un
us
astfel de proiect.
such a project
Noi
was
toți
to
cunoșteam
start.
despre astfel de proiecte, fiindcă,
We
după cum
all
v-am
knew
spus,
about
în
such
2013
projects
s-a mai
because
realizat
as
unul de
we
acest fel.
I told you in 2013,
Atunci ni s-a
a
spus
similar
un lucru
project
simplu,
was implemented.
fiindcă marea
At
întrebare
that moment,
era
we were told a simple
dacă
thing,
sunt eligibili
because we
colegii care
had a
nu
big
trăiesc în
question
Chișinău
whether
la
the
acest
colleagues
proiect.
living outside Chișinău were
Răspunsul
eligible
la
for that
această întrebare a
project.
fost unul simplu.
The answer was
Nouă
a
ni s-a
simple
spus,
one.
scopul nostru este să
Our
vă asigurăm
Purpose
un
is
model
to
de preț
ensure
preferențial.
you or to
Ce veți
ensure
face voi
you will
cu el,
have a
voi
real
decideți.
estate living place at the preferential price. It's your decision what you will do with it later on. But you shall know that you have a single possibility to obtain this. And this meant that those who did participate in such programs were not eligible anymore. And what to do with this real estate would be your decision. But afterwards, you would have no other justification to say that the system did not take care of you in order to ensure decent living conditions for you. This was one of the reasons or justification, not the main one. So in 2023, according to all the circumstances I've described you, we decided to finally sell the apartment at the market price, obviously aiming to obtain a profit, because the price was for us debt actually, or to cover that, because we got this amount and we paid this amount. Basically, the idea was to ensure our financial safety in the family, because we did not know how the further situation was to be like. Fortunately, I got the chance to keep working as a judge. Moreover, we are not already more than 1 year in a financial uncertainty situation. And I want to tell you that basically the aim of this program for our family specifically has achieved the expected result. We've improved our living conditions more than significantly. As of today, my family has no significant debt to no institution. Moreover, we've even got some funds that we want to increase, and later on to think about a way we could improve our living conditions, meaning that we would like to purchase a bigger living space. Thank you, Mr. Beșelea. I had another question, but you've anticipated it. It was about the aim of the program, whether it was achieved in your case, so now I have no questions anymore. Maybe colleagues have some.
Yeah, I have. I still would like to ask about the aim or the purpose of a program, because you described it, but my question is it your interpretation, or you can say that this is some kind of wide general principle? Is it written in somewhere, or where you take your opinion about the aim of a program? Yes, I understand you described, but is it your interpretation? And also the second question, you answered and used the word we. We understood, we decided, we fought. Who we? You and your family members, or your colleagues, or you and other churches in Moldova? So, 2 questions from my side.
With your permission, I'll first answer to your second question because it's a shorter one. By we, I mean myself and my wife. If narrowly, we were both participants in this program, even though the application was submitted only by me formally, but actually, the application included both of us as subjects of the judiciary system, as subjects of this program. And when I talk about the interpretation of the conditions, on 6th of September 2024, when we received a notice about the hearings and the circumstances in the notice, we were informed about how the things were carried out in the working group under the SCM. This was not quite transparent in terms of providing relevant data about the program. So we've told you the first time I found out about the program in that meeting. Later, when we had some information on email about applying to the program, and that was all. And later on decisions we were not informed about. Even the decision you submitted it to me, and you referred to that in 2021 I was offered an apartment. I found out about this on the year of my assessment, because from the beginning I requested information from the SCM. So before 2024 I was not aware formally about the decisions regulating that process in a clear way.
Let me ask just a couple of follow-up questions. Judge, I understand from what you said earlier that in 2021, when you were told that you'd been accepted for the program, at that time, you and your wife thought that you would move into the apartment that was going to be available under the program. Is that correct?
Da, așa am decis noi.
And,
yes, this is what we decided.
And I also understand that by the time that apartment was completed, I think you said in August of 2023, you had changed your mind. I have two questions. First, did you ever make any efforts to try to sell your existing apartment once you knew that you were going to get the preferential apartment? That's the first question. And then the second question is, at what point did you conclude you didn't want to go, you didn't want to move into the preferential apartment?
Nu am încercat niciodată să vând
I
apartamentul
never tried to
din
sell
2008, ținut
the
în 2019.
apartment acquired in 2018,
Această
19.
Acest
Because
exercițiu urmea a fi demarat imediat după
This
ce
exercise
obțineam
was about to
actele
start
pe
immediately
apartamentul
after obtaining the
blocul
documents
de la
for
Mircea cel Bătrân.
the apartment on Mircea cel
Odată ce
Bătrân
le-am
Street.
obținut abia în 23 și v-am
But we
descris circumstanțele,
obtained these documents only in 2023, and I mentioned how things changed in this period, so I didn't even try anymore to sell this
Vă
apartment.
rog să-mi reamintiți a doua întrebare.
Please, could you repeat the second question?
The second question is just when did you decide that you weren't going to move into the apartment that was completed in 2023? At what point did you decide you weren't going to move into it?
Atunci, în august 2023,
In August
primul lucru care
2023,
l-am făcut când am obținut
the first thing
actele,
I did when we got the
16
paperwork
august 2023 chiar,
on the
țin
16th
minte
of
și data
August
foarte bine,
2023, I remember
pentru
the
că am
date
știut
very
primii
well.
care am obținut,
I think
fie cei
we
de la
were among the
antreprenori,
first to get the
erau
flats
foarte
because
deranjați de insistențele mele.
the developer was very annoyed
Cred că
by the
imediat,
fact that I was so insistent.
Primul lucru care l-am făcut, am obținut
I
cheile,
think the
am
first thing
asigurat
we did
niște
after
condiții
getting
elementare
the
pentru
keys
ca să
was
pot începe
to
procesul de vânzare a apartamentului.
make sure
Mă
we
refer, am
had the
instalat
basic
obiectul
elements
de lumină
to
în
sell it.
apartament, să-l pot
We
prezenta
had the
cumpărătorului.
light
Nu am
bulbs
mai
installed so
așteptat
that we
nicio zi.
could present it to potential
Fiindcă în
buyers.
august
We didn't
2023
wait
eram la
because in August 2023,
un an și 6 luni probabil
it was
deja de când sunt fără
1 year and 6 months after my powers had expired,
clar sau avea
and
o
I
previzibilitate cât de
had
cât
no
clară
predictability
despre când se va soluționa
on
problema
when
întârnicirilor mele.
the
Și
problem of my powers
uitați
would
că
be
era o
solved.
situație în care
And remember that
deja
this
era
was a situation
al doilea an de când rudele
when
mele
we were in the
așteptau
second
restituirea datoriilor.
year, when my
Au fost
relatives
suficient de buni
were
cu
waiting
noi să nu
for
ne
our debts to be
solicite,
repaid.
înțelegându-ne
They
situația,
were patient with
dar
us,
și noi
they
am avut,
understood the situation,
decența
but
să nu-i facem să aștepte
we
mai mult
didn't
decât ar fi
want
trebuit.
to make them wait more than they should have waited.
Okay, thank you. Do any of the other commission members have any additional questions? Judge Brower?
Mr. President, Judge Beșelea, is that correctly pronounced? Beșelea. Beșelea. I'll do my best, okay? To cut it very short, when you joined the program for preferential housing in Chișinău, you lived up to the conditions. You didn't live in Chișinău then, did you? When you were finally elected to really profit of this project, you lived in Chișinău. That's the thing. One of the conditions of this program was that you shouldn't have dwellings in Chișinău. And then there's something I don't understand. When you could join, when you were, let's say, elected to have this preferential dwelling, were you aware that you didn't live up to the conditions anymore?
Eu vreau să vă atrag atenția
I would
despre
like
faptul
to
că
highlight the fact that
eu m-am pomenit în situația să am un apartament
I
în 2019
ended up having
parțial
an
datorită-
apartment in 2019, partially because
datorită problemelor de comunicare a
because
grupului de
of
lucru
the
despre
communication issues
situația
of the working group
proiectului.
related to the
Deci eu dacă știam că în
status of the project.
2021 am
Had I
strâns totuși
known that
apartament, în
I would
2019
get the
probabil că
apartment
nu
in
mi-aș fi
2021,
procurat
I probably
apartament,
wouldn't have
pentru
bought that apartment
este
at the
o
market
situație în care am
price in
nimerit
2019.
datorită mai multor
So
factori
we ended
și-
up in this situation
și de care-
due to different
sau care au
factors
fost independenți de voința mea.
that were
existența acestor
outside
factori nu-
my influence.
Deci eu nu cunoșteam despre lucrurile
So
care
I
urmează să se
did
întâmple.
not know
Dacă
what
știam
was going to
anumite
happen.
informații,
Had I
luam
had
altfel
certain
decizii.
information, I would have taken other decisions.
Thank you, but you didn't answer my question completely. My question was, were you aware that you didn't live up to the conditions anymore?
Eu în principiu am răspuns și repet. Da,
In
eu
principle,
formal
I answered
înțelegeam că
yes.
nu
I
întrunesc
firmly understood
dar
that
decizia
I wasn't meeting
adoptată
the
de mine s-a
criteria
bazat pe
anymore,
cumulul
but
de
the decision
circumstanțe pe care le-am
that I took
descris
was
despre
based
cum au
on the
derulat
different
evenimentele.
circumstances that I
Asta
have
m-a făcut
described
pe
on
mine
how
să mă
things
consider,
happened.
să ne
This
considerăm de
is
fapt
why
eligibili
we
în
considered
continuare
that
pentru proiect.
we were still eligible for the project.
Thank you, Judge.
Any other questions? Yes. Mr. Commissioner Ansu.
Bună ziua! Vă rog să ne spuneți
Hello.
la momentul
Could you
acceptării cererii
please tell us
dumneavoastră de către grupul de
if
lucru,
at the
probabil
moment
ați primit un
when the
notificare
working group
scris
accepted your
despre
application, you probably received
Nu,
back then
nu
a
am
notification?
scris.
No, I did not receive any
Și la acea
written
etapă
confirmation.
exista opțiunea de
At
a
that point,
renunța
did you have the option
la
to
oferta achiziționării unui
give
apartament
up
la preț
the
preferențial?
possibility to
Sau deja
purchase
era
this
obligatoriu să acceptați
preferential flat, or was it
decizia grupului
mandatory
de
to accept the decision of the
Nu,
working group?
niciodată nu era obligatoriu, puteam renunța
No, it
oricând
was
la
never
a
mandatory.
participa la acest program,
We could
inclusiv
have
și după repartizarea
left the program
apartamentului în
anytime,
2021,
even after
și
the
chiar inclusiv
flat
la
was
orice
allocated in
etapă
2021.
până-
So at any
până la
stage
recepționarea
until the
Oricând
apartment
putem
was received,
Și deja
we
având
could have
proprietate, ați decis oricum să
exited.
acceptați opțiunea
So
respectivă.
you decided
Da,
to
dar
accept this
luând în
option
considerare
anyway.
circumstanțele despre
Yes,
care v-am
but
vorbit,
taking into
deci nu era
consideration the
ideea să mă
circumstances
aleg
that I
cu două
mentioned.
apartamente, unul din care
So
la
the
preț
idea was not to
preferențial.
have two apartments,
Chiar
one
dacă
of
aș fi
which
vrut și
on a
aș fi vrut
preferential
în mod
price,
firesc să se
although
întâmple una
I
ca asta,
would have wished
dar
to
era
have
imposibil
such a
pentru
possibility,
mine sau
but
pentru familia
for
mea să
me,
realizăm
for
un astfel
my
de-
family,
o astfel
it
de
was
investiție
impossible
financiară.
to
Era
have
prea mult
such
pentru
a
noi.
financial
Nu ne puteam
investment. It
permite
was
pur și
too
simplu așa
much.
ceva.
We could
Dar
not
prin ce
afford it.
metodă ați fost notificat că
But
cererea dumneavoastră a
how
fost
were you
acceptată?
notified that your application was accepted?
În 2021 am recepționat
In
un e-mail.
2021,
Da,
I
ce
received an email from the Superior Council of Magistrates.
Judge, just one more question. When you received that notice, did you seek advice from anyone about whether you could go forward with the purchase, given that your circumstances had changed since you initially applied?
Eu acum nu pot aminti și de asta n-am să
I can't remember right now, so
indic cu certitudine.
I will not specify something exactly. I might have discussed with some of the working groups because I knew most of them personally, but I would not want to make such statements. But the main question for myself and my family was what to do. Should we move forward with this project and sell the apartment we had bought? We didn't think whether we were still eligible or not.
În accepțiunea noastră,
In
vorbesc acum, din punctul nostru de
our
vedere pur subiectiv,
perspective, which was a subjective one,
nici nu se punea întrebarea
there was no question about
ineligibilității.
not
Noi
being
ne consideram
eligible
eligibili în
anymore.
continuare în
We
circumstanțele
considered
particulare
that
ale
we were
situației.
still eligible given the specific circumstances of our situation.
Commissioner Gatskin.
Domnule
Domnul judecător, puteți să ne spuneți, vă rog,
Judge, could you tell us if you know of any cases among your colleagues of people who left the program because they had purchased other real estate? I am not aware of such cases.
Right. Judge Beșelea, would you like to make a brief statement before we conclude the hearing? I think the commission members have finished with their questions. Is there anything you'd like to say?
Da, eu în primul rând vreau să vă mulțumesc mult pentru că mi-ați acordat
Yes, first of
acest
all,
timp.
I would like to thank you for allocating
Vreau
this
să comunic
time to
prin
me.
intermediul dumneavoastră a tuturor celor care ne vor urmări
Through
despre
the
faptul
Commission,
că
I would like to mention to
sunt în
everyone
primul
who
rând
will be
foarte fericit
watching
că acest exercițiu
that
se
I am
apropie
very
de final.
happy that this exercise
Fiindcă
is
este unul
drawing to an end
suficient de neplăcut.
because
Dar
it
totodată,
is
în opinia
quite
mea, absolut
unpleasant,
necesar.
but in my
Pentru ca
opinion,
cel puțin
it
să
is
încercăm
also very
să oferim
necessary
societății
because we need to try to offer the
un boost de
society
încredere în activitatea
a
noastră.
boost of trust
cred că
in
astfel
our
de
activity.
exerciții,
I believe
chiar
that
dacă
such exercises,
pot fi criticabile,
despite the fact that
sunt
there may
suficient
be
de
criticism
necesare,
for them,
având
are
în vedere
necessary
situația actuală,
given the current
în care
situation,
încrederea în sistemul de justiție este
because the
destul de joasă.
trust in the judiciary is
Eu,
quite low.
Nu în ultimul rând vreau să
And not
mulțumesc
least, I
familiei
would
mele
like to thank
care a
my
suportat
family
împreună cu mine,
who
fără să fie obligată
went through this
punct de vedere
together
moral să
with
o
me
facă.
without having the moral
Vreau să le
obligation to do
mulțumesc
so.
că au înțeles
I want to
situația
thank
mea
them
particulară,
for
au
having
acceptat
understood
aceste provocări
my situation, for having accepted
le-au
such
realizat
a
cu
challenge, and
Eu vreau să urez,
for getting through
și
this
dumneavoastră și tuturor colegilor
in
pe
a
care urmează
proper
să-i
manner.
mai
And I would like to
verificați succes.
thank you and to
Sănătate și
wish
Doamne
those colleagues who will be assessed success and good health.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's hearing. Judge Beșelea, again, thank you for your submissions and your answers to our questions. After the hearing, the Commission will approve an evaluation decision stating its conclusion whether the subject meets the criteria for ethical and financial integrity under Law Number 26. The Commission will strive to complete its decision and announce its conclusion as soon as possible. It generally seeks to do so within a month after a subject's public hearing. The hearing is now closed. Good day to everyone.